No, no, no. Say it ain't so. What a rough week for Dana White. He just came out with Zuffa Boxing. I'm going to talk about that in this video and let you know really the cons of Zuffa Boxing, their debut on Paramount Plus in this video. But this was from the UFC weigh-in. So I'm going to connect it to Zuffa Boxing UFC. It's pretty much the same company, same people, TKO. Look at this clip.
135 and a half.
135 and a half.
No, bro. After hitting the weigh-in, this fighter literally fainted at the weigh-in. And he on the ground. You see, oh, he hit his head when they tried to turn him over. Watch. Look. Bro, they're not even grabbing his head. Like, come on, bro. Look, bow. You can hear it. Bro, they're not even. Are these medical professionals? Like, what's going on, bro? He out. Bro, he literally just passed out. Hit his head. Bro, what are we talking about? So that's just the start of it. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Couple of you wanted me to reach out and make a video about Zuffa Boxing's first fight. I'm going to be real. I had to go back and watch it. I was watching Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, their new movie on Netflix, and that was awesome. I had no time for this Zuffa card. Listen, I love boxing. I cover boxing, but there's some things bigger than boxing, and I was spending time with the fam. And I wouldn't trade that for anything in the world, especially a card like the card that they had. So I'm going to really just break down my thoughts. I normally give you guys the good, the bad, and the ugly. Yo, after watching it, like, because again, I didn't watch it in real time. I had to go back and watch it. We're going to go over some of these things. And I really feel it's been a bad week for Dana White. So I even have show notes. You know, if Boxing Ego do show notes, because I be freestyling my videos, right? If I come with show notes, I'm about to cook. So from the top, number one, Justin Gaethje has a fight that is coming on tonight. And I'm going over all the things that are bad and wrong with Zuffa currently. So, one, you've seen the fighter pass out. That is a horrible, horrible look for your organization. I mean, you're on Paramount, and then the fighter's health should be paramount, and he's banging his head because he struggled to make weight. Now, some people are going to be like, yo, but Ego, Dana White can't control if the guy dehydrated himself. That may be true, but this is your card. This is your event, and you just signed a new deal with Paramount, and you don't want to come through the gates having the Zuffa Boxing card that you had, and then the next day the UFC card, and you got several people missing weight, and then you got a guy with a now viral clip of him conking his head, pretty much face planting from making weight. So I don't care if it's Dana White's doing or not, it looks bad. I'd be mad if I was Paramount. Like, man, we signed $1 billion-something deal for this. Then the other thing I had listed on number one, Justin Gaethje has a viral video too, where he's like, basically, and you guys can find it on the internet, I have won like 14 fighter bonuses from the UFC, and not one time has it equated to over $1 million, like when you add them all up. And basically, he's complaining about fighter pay. He's like, how do I bonus 14 times and you add all 14 up and I didn't touch $1 million from that? So you got a fighter who's fighting on an upcoming fight, and he's complaining about fighter pay. So these two things already started Dana White's week off very bad. New deal with Paramount, dude's dehydrated, and there's a viral clip of him failing to walk off the stage after making weight. It just looks horrible, right? Then Gaethje's complaining over fighter pay. Let's keep it going. Now, number two, a lot of y'all, I told you, you got Paige Shields, then you got me. Me, that's who. You got Paige Shields, and you got me, the one keeping it real. Paige Shield, me keeping it real. And there's a lot of people that are glazing. They're glazing Zuffa, TKO, and Turkey. Oh, they can do no wrong. But they're not keeping it real. And you as boxing fans should really hold these people and content creators and whatnot to a higher standard and really start questioning like what they're in it for. Is this clickbait? Are you an enemy? This is the dude that passed out, by the way, right? That's a terrible photo to be floating around ahead of your new deal with boxing and UFC. But number two, we'll keep going. Boom. So we find out that Zuffa Boxing is running it like the UFC, which means they have the fight kit and your outfits like done for you. No other brands are allowed. It is Zuffa only. There's no other endorsements. This is terrible for the sport of boxing. Now, I don't know, nor do I really care what you're doing in the UFC. If that's how you run it, I still think it's unfair, but I really don't care, right? But boxing for several decades, if not longer, centuries, has had these noted people throughout boxing. They were rebellious, they were defiant, they had charisma, they had spark, they had personality. This is who we know and love. The Muhammad Ali's, the Prince Nassim Hameds, the Floyd Mayweathers, right? Roy Jones, they all had razzle dazzle, panache, flair, right? And then now with Zuffa Boxing getting in the game, they are attempting to try to monopolize the game and take that identity away from the fighter, just like they did with the UFC, right? Where you occasionally get a Conor McGregor and he's the standout guy, but a lot of the guys just fight and have terrible records, double-digit losses, and they have no unique flair. So pretty much it looks like you can't wear no hats or you have to wear a uniform. It's like going to private school or something, right? Zuffa like team fits, and they're trying to make the Zuffa brand like it. For me, Zuffa's already it's not a good name for a company. What does that even mean like to the average Joe? You know, what is Zuffa? Like Nike, that sounds cool. It's like really simple, rolls off the tongue. Zuffa doesn't. You know what I mean? You have TKO that purchased UFC and WWE and Zuffa Boxing. Why don't you just call it TKO Boxing, which sounds infinitely better? But anyway, back to it. The fighters got to wear uniforms. So think about Prince Nassim coming out in a flying carpet, magic carpet and all that he did, right? Floyd coming out like a Roman gladiator. All that is toast. Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder, because, you know, I want to give you guys some more recent examples. Oh, my God. To this day, imagine Wilder when he had the crown and he came out with that sick outfit. All that was Zuffa Boxing. If you're signed to them, that's not going to be going on unless they bend or change their rules at some point. But as it sits right now, if you watch the walkout in episode 1 or their first show, yeah, you can't have that. So to me, that's whack. That's whack because this ain't the UFC, and these fighters have individual personalities, and that's what makes stars. How are you going to be a star if you're like a robot in an assembly line and you got similar fight kits and outfits and all that? Boxing, this is what I'm talking about, bro. I try to tell y'all, I don't care how much money you have. Boxing is like a secret society. It's a niche sport, so you got to do it the right way. You know what I mean? And I feel like there's a lot of people that are going to find this out the hard way. Boxing is not, this ain't the UFC. The UFC, they're running ice commercials, right? In between UFC shows. They have a lot of people that are far right that watch the UFC. Try that with boxing. So, like, for example, the biggest fight, or one of them, last year was Canelo versus Crawford. A black fighter and a Mexican fighter. Put that ice commercial wedged in between Canelo Crawford and tell me how that works for you. Canelo has fans that are Chicano, that are from Mexico, right? So do you think they want to see an ice commercial during the Canelo fight? And again, I'm not saying Canelo is signed to Zuffa. I'm just saying hypothetically, right? What if Canelo, free agent, you want to put him on Zuffa or something? You're going to run them ice commercials like you do with the UFC? So now you're stripping away personality, endorsements. They can't, like, normally fighters come out with their trunks and then they got, this car detailing service or John Doe's insurance, and they got all these people willing to pay to sponsor them, my chips and salsa brand, blah, 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 Dano's seasoning, right? They're willing to pay and put their patches and whatnot on these fighters' trunks, which puts money in the fighter's team pocket, which is good. But the way Zuffa's doing it, they're trying to be in control of everything. Like, you could use the UFC PI, but not everyone wants to have their fight camp in Vegas. You know what I mean? They got a, like, onboard chef in snacks. Okay. So that means you have to go to Vegas to do your fight camp. Does everybody want to do that? The boxing don't work like that. Like, for example, I don't care about a chef in snacks. Give me money. Because then if you have money, then you can pay for your own chef and or snacks. You see how that works? Like David Benavidez. He want the cash. Give him the cash. He can rent his own house for his fight camp. He can get apartments for his sparring partners. He can get his own nutritionist and personal chef. And he got the money where he could just pay for all this stuff, right? So Zuffa, they're trying to make it like it's like a one-stop shop and all-inclusive, but then they're stripping away the fighter's individuality, like making them wear uniforms. I want to see David Benavidez or Canelo or whoever walk out with a sombrero or whatever they feel. Canelo coming out with the mariachi group and stuff. Or black fighters walking out. I remember Adrian Broner came out with K. Kendrick back in the day. Tank had some memorable ring walks with rappers. So they're not trying to do none of that type of stuff, right? And then you got people who are trying to shill for this and not keep it real and act like this is fly, right? So number 3, I have Dana White's speech. And, I'm not even going to play too much because it's really, I'll let you listen to a little bit.
What are your thoughts on that? And how do you see this kind of like hashing out with the other organizations?
So let me ask you a question. I haven't said jack shit about anybody. I might have said a couple things about Oscar De La Hoya because he's an asshole. But other than that, I haven't said anything about anybody. And will you work with the sanctions? No, I won't. No. Now, these are the same people that were complaining about me trying to amend the Ali Act. In their world and what they do, none of that is going to change, right? When did I say I'm coming in and I'm wiping out the box, I'm going to take over? I haven't said anything like that. right? And these guys can still operate and do what they do, how they do it. What difference does it make to them what I'm doing? I'm in my own little world over here doing my thing, and they can still continue to run their business and do what they want to do.
So right here, Dana White's being the Karen, in my opinion, because I hate when people pop-ish and then afterwards act like they don't know why the person's mad, or they don't know, like, why are you saying that about me? You know why. Like, stop playing, bro. Now, I don't know why you've been, like, humbled or you're toning it down, but between you and or your co-conspirators, right? You guys have made, like, so that includes Turkey, TKO Boxing. The messaging that we gathered is that you're coming full throttle and you're coming to put people out of business. That's how it was presented. Not necessarily just from Dana White, but in general. That's why people are acting like this, period. So you can play games and act like, oh, why are they saying this? They can run their business. Yeah, but you made it like it was a hostile takeover and you were coming to take over the game, right? As far as the card was trash. There were 0 knockouts. The fights were in the UFC meta apex, and it was analogous to the bubble fights in the pandemic. The crowd was muted. These are the people who are coming in saying Turkey saved the game. Riyadh season saved the game. Boxing was destitute before these people came in, and now boxing is a new era, which leads me to my fourth and final point. Max Kellerman. Bro, this man has fell off. His fall from grace is too crazy. I feel like me and other people used to look up to Max Kellerman, but now he is 1,000% a complete sellout to the sport of boxing and a shill, right? Coming in with all this rhetoric and, oh, Zuffa Boxing, now we have a boxing league and boxing is so healthy now. What are you guys talking about? Am I the only real person left in this whole sport? I'm really starting to wonder that, because 2023 was a benchmark year. You had Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford fought for undisputed in a big American fight, right? And that gave boxing fans an American banger that meant a lot to the welterweight division, and really it catapulted Crawford because he won the fight. Right? That was on Showtime. That was on PBC. Thank you, Al Heyman. That was in 2023. Months before that, you had Gervonta Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia on the same network with the same people, had nothing to do with Turkey, had nothing to do with anybody else, blah, blah, blah. This was before they were even in the game, right? No Dana White, no TKO, no Zuffa. So to me, 2023, I've covered the sport every single year, every single day for the last 15 plus years. So you can't play these like Jedi mind tricks on me. Tank fought Ryan, sold over 1 million pay-per-views, right? The exposure doesn't get any bigger than that. So you had a hardcore fight fans type of fight with merit, and that meant a lot, Errol and Crawford. But in the same year, within the same span of months, you had a banger in terms of undefeated Tank, undefeated Ryan Garcia, 2 mega stars with big fan bases doing over 1 million in a fight that was going to be, that was the biggest fight for that particular year. And that's just that. You've also had, in recent memory, Canelo has had some big fights. So what are we talking about, acting like boxing fell off until these people got in the game? You guys are sellouts, bro. There's a lot of y'all sellouts. And Max Kellerman, he leading the charge. He talking about, oh, we got a league and this is a historic night. Listen, Caleb Walsh, I don't know what the plan is. He could be a good, nice kid, but he's not that nice, bro. He fought Ocampo and got dropped. So you are in what everyone thought to be a mismatch. I've already went over it. Carlos Ocampo literally got scraped by every PBC fighter from Errol Spence in one round, right? Knocked him out. I was there. To fighting Fundora, and he got beat from pillar to post every single round, right? Then he got knocked out in Australia in one round by Tim Tszyu. Go look at his box rec, right? And this guy is dropping Caleb Walsh in a boring fight and is lackluster, and they're telling me it's a new era of boxing. All right, bro. And again, to build, like, if you're all that in a bag of chips, right? And you're trying to build this revolutionary fight game, right? Or league or whatever they're talking about. How do you build it with the main event like that? Right? The guy that Errol Spence and Tim Tszyu slept in one round, and then Fundora also beat, and then this is your main event? Like, that was a trash main event. And then it didn't deliver. Like I said, there were no knockouts. So Caleb Walsh, he did not look that great. He didn't look that impressive. And I kid you not, on the telecast, when I went back to watch it, Max Kellerman made a comment talking about Caleb Walsh reminds him of Roy Jones Jr. This level of butt kissing and glazing is deplorable. It is absolutely disgusting and insane that anybody would stoop to that level, bro. There's nothing about Caleb Walsh that resembles Roy Jones Jr. at all. So why would you even say that? And this is who they're putting in charge of the talking head pieces. Max, the sellout Kellerman. I mean, it's crazy. Main event, Ocampo and Caleb Walsh. And it wasn't even a good fight. And the guy you're trying to build up, the Caleb Walsh experience, he's getting dropped by a guy that everybody else seemed to be able to beat very easy. He's going 10 rounds with him. He didn't look good in his last fight with the Vargas twin, right? So it's like, how do you build your company around Caleb Walsh, and he's putting up the Fernando Vargas, going 10 rounds with him? Vargas hasn't stepped up to the higher level, like, to prove he's not his dad. He hasn't proven he's elite. And then you're going 10 rounds with Carlos Ocampo. I'm not really understanding the vision, but this is what Dana White and Zuffa Boxing, they're bankrolling. This I'm Slim Shady, yes, I'm the real shady looking muff. Like, really? This is what you're getting behind? See, to me, it means you're trying to run the game like the UFC. That's what I really feel. You like the way he looked, and he fit the profile, and he's from Ireland, so he fits the profile of what you want to be the face of your league. But I'm telling you, this ain't the UFC. Boxing don't work like that. You better get some blacks and some Mexicans up in here too. You know what I mean? You can't just make somebody that has the complexion for the protection and like build, like, they got to be nice. You know what I mean? They got to be at least like a Tommy Morrison, and that only lasted for so long, if I'm being honest. They got to be a Kelly Pavlik. You can't just build who you want into a star. Then the other person, they had Kane Sandoval on there, trained by Freddie Roach, and he just lost to Hammerhands, right? So he lost his undefeated record. So two guys that are signed to Zuffa, one's getting dropped by a guy that all the PBC fighters already whooped and had no problem with. And then the other Zuffa fighter, Kane Sandoval, he ends up losing to a guy that lost to Jose Pedraza in Hammerhands. And then Hammerhands is begging for money after the fight. This is a terrible week for Dana White, bro. I don't care what y'all talking about. To me, this hasn't been a successful rollout of what's to come. It did not get me excited. The only thing I can really give them like props for is the quality was good. The on-screen motion graphics was crisp. The video quality was crisp. I'm a technical guy. I like quality, but give me the quality of fights too. I'd rather watch a fight in 1080p that's a banger rather than have banger quality and then the fight is boring and putting people to sleep with matchups that nobody wants. So there's a lot of confusing parts with this whole Zuffa thing. Then you sign Jai Opataya, who's a cruiserweight, right? There's so many layers to this stuff, and I want you guys to understand because, again, I'm like the last of a dying breed. There's so many people lying to y'all that it's going to be easy for you guys to just believe whatever you want or whatever you're being fed. So I got to speak the truth. But so the uniforms, I'm not a fan of that. The Apex action, it felt like the fights that were in the pandemic, right? Not a fan of that. And here's the other issue. Dan Rayfield reported this. Awaiting the start of Zuffa Boxing, the prelims, it was mentioned the reason Caleb Walsh and Carlos Ocampo are fighting middleweight when they have been junior middleweights is because Zuffa Boxing is only doing fights in 8 divisions, not all 18, right? Bro, these people are trying to change far too much all at once. So boxing has over time evolved. No more 15 rounders, 12 rounders, right? Gloves used to be like paper thin. Now they have more padding to help brain contusions and hemorrhaging and protect the fighter more, right? So these changes have been implemented. And then eventually the game went from 8 divisions to like junior middleweight, 154 or super middleweight. These other like divisions got added. Now these people, Zuffa Boxing, they're trying to reduce that by 10 divisions, right? So they're trying to go back to the old way of boxing. So no junior middleweight. So how is this going to work? How are you the new era monopoly? What happens to the other promoters? They got all these fighters like Jerron Boots Ennis, Virgil Ortiz, and PBC has a ton of 54-pounders, right? Jermel Charlo, Tim Zhu, Sebastian Fundora, Abel Ramos, right? All these 154-pounders. And then you have Caleb Walsh, who was supposed to be a 54-pounder, but now he's moving up to 160 because your company doesn't recognize these newer added divisions like junior middleweight. So we don't really know if Caleb Walsh is the best. Now middleweight, there's not that many people. Who's he going to fight? You going to keep fighting Ocampo type people? Middleweight's not popping, but junior middleweight is. And then you sign Jai Opataya, right? He's a cruiserweight. By your own rules, if you're only counting the 8 divisions, cruiserweight is not. So is he going to be fighting at heavyweight now? This whole thing sounds stupid. And because we're unpacked, to give you guys a full idea of what I'm talking about, right? This is what I'm talking about. The traditional 8 original weight divisions in boxing, right? Often referred to the original 8 of modern weight classes. So flyweight, bantamweight, featherweight, lightweight, welterweight, middleweight, light heavyweight, and heavyweight. According to Dan Rayfield and what they said on Zuffa Boxing, that is the only divisions that Zuffa are going to be like facilitating fights in. So how do you have a cruiserweight in Jai Opataya, who says he wants to be undisputed and unify all titles, and cruiserweight was not a part of the original 8. So why'd you sign him? Again, is he going to be fighting at heavyweight? I don't think he can move down to light heavyweight. He looked kind of big. Light heavyweight's 175 pounds. So again, you're trying to change too much too soon. And I don't know what y'all think, but I don't like these changes. A lot of them, fighters can't have their own sponsors and make some money. I don't like that. Why would I like that? You got 18 divisions in boxing. Now you only want 8, like back in the old days. But so how do you collapse the other 10 divisions that have been created well before you got here? You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, I wasn't impressed at all. Literally, the only impressive thing that I could say was I liked the quality. The quality was very good. But the fights weren't. So to hell with the quality. And you have this whole Paramount Plus deal, right? Paramount Plus deal. Right before the UFC went live on Paramount Plus, they raised the prices. So how are you going to be raising the prices for Friday night fights, Caleb Walsh going 10 rounds with a guy all the PBC fighters scraped in Ocampo, fights on Sunday? Is like, how did you raise the price for these type of fights? You know what I mean? And then you got the UFC side. It's going to create some problems because Justin Gaethje, he's already complaining about fighter pay, right? I got all these bonuses. I ain't made no money. So when they see, if they get like the Jai Opatayas, or I heard Usyk, they're looking at trying to get Usyk, and then the UFC guys start finding out how much these boxers are going to make and are making, they're going to be really mad and really upset. So I don't know how it's going to work. We'll see. I'll keep you guys updated. But so far, I definitely was not impressed with what I seen. It did not jive. And then you got Max Kellerman trying to oversell it and hype people up as if boxing has been trash until these people came, and that's just not true. We've had some really, really classic fight. David Benavidez Morrell, David Benavidez Caleb Plant, all of Gervonta Davis's recent fights, right? Events, good fights. Errol Spence has given us legendary fights. I'm talking about the last 10 years. So who are these people coming in overnight trying to change everything and, treating the boxers like toy soldiers and cutting out all the weight classes, cutting the belts down to one belt per division, which that particular one, that's not the worst of things, having one belt per weight class. But you're trying to run it like the UFC, but the problem is the audience ain't the UFC. And I think they're going to find out in boxing this ain't the UFC real quick. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live, Boxing Ego Unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Live streaming can be tough, which is why I use StreamYard. Click the link in the description for StreamYard, which is an awesome tool that enables you to set up your stream with ease of use. Get great results with live streaming. It's what I use. Stream to social media with ease with StreamYard. Live streaming is here to stay. Engage with your audience using StreamYard. Great way to reach out to your audience and connect. So you need a tool that can do that. If you're new to YouTube and you're struggling to get views, one tool I can provide to you is TubeBuddy. I've been on YouTube over 10 years. I use TubeBuddy daily to crank out videos just like this one that you're watching. Learn how the pros do it with TubeBuddy. YouTube receives a lot of traffic, which also means a lot of creators a lot of people putting out content. So you need to learn the ropes so you know how to separate yourself, especially if you're new. But even if you're a pro, use TubeBuddy. The link is in the description. Get more views, more subscribers, and a higher click-through rate. So ultimately you can realize all of your online goals. Use my affiliate link in the description and grow your channel fast.